Cotton it'll do.
Alrighty, folks, here we are for another day in the neighborhood, and we're here with the Jedi, or formerly known as the Jedi, but he's the Andersons, Jedi's Jungle Packs, if you ask me. How are you doing, Jesse?
Good. How you doing?
Not bad, man. I know you don't like that Jedi nomenclature anymore, but I just see you behind the scenes with all those Jedi mind powers making shit work. So.
Yeah, I had to get away from it with the whole trademarking and Disney.
Right. Yeah,
They'll
you
jump
have
at
to get on board with them and take on their talking points if you're going to start using their advertising.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. We got all kinds of people in here. We got Fifi and Chris and Toker. All right, man. So we got the show rolling. What have you been up to, Jesse?
Oh, pushing out these jungle packs and reaching out to more stores. I've been getting around local and doing some marketing and getting out of my comfort zone, my little bubble.
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of been doing the opposite. Like, I'm just gonna huddle here.
Right. Well, we got to do that once in a while. I definitely had to recoup and take some time with the family. And,
awesome.
That juggling, getting time with each, making sure everyone's happy, and it can be a lot sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you that don't know out there, why don't you tell us what you do there with your jungle packs and what that means?
So my jungle packs, it's right now I offer substrate. It's pH balanced. So what's behind the pH balancing is it makes it so that you can have flush after flush without contamination coming in. Like some bags, you'll get maybe one flush and then they'll contaminate right after. A lot of the time, I found is once the pH drops is when contamination will set in and makes it more prone anyways to once
Right.
it becomes lower there. So I raise the pH of my substrate that I offer, and then for my jungle packs as well for the substrate and the millet that I add to it is hydrated with pH balanced water as well. So
Excellent. Yeah, there's a lot of folks with the alkaline water gig going on for health purposes. And what do you know about that, Andrew? You're our resident smartish guy.
I've played with pH balancing a little bit and done a couple of things, but as I've been talking about a little bit with you, what I'm working on right now is more fermenting and trying to see what I can do with fermented wood on the cheap. Trying to do some myco remediation. Like once our gourmet bags stop fruiting, we'll ferment some wood, mix them in, and that's kind of what I've been working on lately.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool too. I had always thought, like alcohol from wood, like alcohol bad for mycelium.
Right.
I was glad to learn that that's not correct, because it looks like it's working pretty darn well for you.
Yeah. So far with the oyster test, it's going pretty dang well. Promising results, but we need to do it on scale to make sure that it's not gonna just hit a saturation point and no longer be doable.
Right. Yeah, I imagine you probably did some testing your own on your jungle packs there, Jesse.
Yeah, I've done a lot of playing around with it. I started out with just us growing in a small community, like on Discord, mushroom community, that we just were playing around with different substrates and whatnot, and we stumbled across lime and balancing our pH, and then found, well, at the time I didn't have a flow hood, I had a still air box, so we were all dealing with the normal contaminating and whatnot. So I'm like, we're like, there's got to be something we can do to cut back on contamination, like especially for beginners, because it literally just once you're starting out and you buy your first like all-in-one or your first grain bag or whatever, and you're all excited, you inoculate it, and then things go south. And it really, a lot of people will just right then and there be like, I'm done. Like, I just wasted so much money and whatnot. And we're
Right.
like, we got to figure out something. So we started playing around and found the best ingredients and not too much, not adding too much like vectors that could be points where it would contaminate. Like, I know with manure, it's really nutritious, but then at the same time, I don't want to play around with it just yet until I know the proper way of going about and adding it and before raising any chances of contamination.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
I
think a lot of
really,
folks that are really successful with manure have the bigger sterilizers.
yeah,
And they've really got their hydration game down, because it's not very wet like we run our core. It's
right.
just the perfect moisture. And
And
like you say, it can be good, but
yeah,
it's one of those things where you screw up just even a little bit and you're down shit
right.
creek
And
with no paddle.
it exactly with that, the hydration and stuff with bags are way different than like if you're, I just was having this conversation with not Goomba King but Daddy Goomba on
Oh yeah.
Instagram. We were talking about all-in-one bags and whatnot, and because he was running a test and all the different grow bags, and he's like, so it kind of seems like these might be more like, I don't know, it's, I was trying to explain to him there's so many different uses than just inoculating it, growing it. You can lay it down in the tubs. I was telling him that way. And like you
Right.
can do what is it, grain to bulk. You can take grain to a whole bunch of all-in-ones and then pour it into a whole bunch of all-in-ones, and then you have all of these popping off. And then if you really wanted, you can stretch it, but you guys know you can only stretch it so far before things start getting a little
Right.
wispy around
Yeah,
out there.
exactly.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, recently I actually got one from you, and I kind of did a little bit of blasphemous inoculation. Your jungle packs are a mixed grain and substrate, so
yeah,
it's already a homogeneous mix. And typically, you don't add agar to that, and I added agar to mine, and it actually worked out pretty well. We'll see how it ends up as far as yields go.
yeah.
That's always where you run into differences, I think.
Right, yeah. And with the bags too, getting back to the hydration, I was getting my ADHD always has me all over the place, you know.
Hey, if you can track it, man, more power
Yeah,
to
I
you.
know. I always try to bring it back, like, but with the hydration, like with tubs, I was talking to him. He was saying how a lot of people have problems with, or it seems like their bags either being overhydrated, like saturated, or under where it's just there's not enough there. So the field capacity is just isn't balanced out right. And I was telling them a lot of what I see is the no soak, no simmer. People will do that, which I I have had it successful for myself. I personally wouldn't sell it to anyone by doing that. I'm all about the soak, the simmer, taking the extra steps and
Right.
pasteurization, and then even after the pasteurization, I'll do the whole pressure cooking, and after I put them together. So, but
Right.
I will hydrate my substrate and get it to the proper field capacity where I'll squeeze it, and it'll almost be like you really have to give it a squeeze to get those drops out of it, because like tubs, I'll run it where it'll be a little bit closer to heavier drips, almost not a stream, but a little bit
Almost,
heavier
yeah.
because you're gonna have that evaporation. But where in like bags, you're gonna have that it's just locked in that humidity. So you're gonna have all that just trapped in there. So you gotta keep it a little bit
Yeah.
less moisture. So yeah, there's a lot of playing around and dialing things in and really getting a feel for it. Getting there
Definitely.
still. It's still every day learning something new.
Now, Fifi here, he says, what about bag thickness? He tries to look with polypropylene, but they are too thin. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that I think Fifi is in South America, so I don't know that our supply chain is the same he can find. So details on the size, if you have any info on that would help him. Do you know any of that info?
Well, and a lot of the with bags, I was like, oh well, thicker is probably better and whatnot. And,
Probably more about the material, I would guess.
That's literally it because I've bought a whole bunch of different bags and I've had some thicker ones that were 6 mil thick, but then after pressure cooking, they cracked. So you really want to get it paid. You're gonna want to pay a little more for the bags and pay a little better quality instead of like cheaper ones or whatnot. Like I've tried all the cheap ones off Amazon and
right. Yeah, I had a really good run going for quite some time, and I swore by Amazon bags.
Yeah,
and then I finally got that change, and then it was like every other time the dang thing came, it changed.
I would buy from the one company, and then just randomly they like changed their product. It seemed like, and it just went to crap. And then next thing I know, I go on there, and you can't even buy from them anymore. So they like went under or whatnot. So, and
right.
That was the thing, switching from those 6 mil bags to unicorn bags. I was like, holy crap, these unicorn bags are like super thin, like, but the material, it's just like stretchier. It just has that, it's all around better compared to like that thick, like it just won't give, like it'll just blow out.
Yeah. Yeah, I found when I was using bags that it was definitely a harder thing to dial in, but that there were specific strains that did like bags, particularly the long-growing, larger fruits. Max love bags in my experience.
Yeah, and I've heard like you definitely need different air exchange filters for different strain, like ones that like more fresh air exchange, you're gonna want higher filter patches that let a little more air in there and whatnot. So that definitely, it's hard to be able to really say what ones until you go through and test them, and then you'll know what ones actually like bags and what ones like tubs. But like in my video on Instagram, you can use your bags in tubs too. So the universal, like that, you can use bags for literally everything. I like it just because now I used to be a tub man and whatnot, and it just makes things so much easier with bags, or even laying the bag into tubs because it makes it cleanup. You're not wiping all the tubs down with all that substrate and whatnot in there,
I'll tell you a little trick that I used to do, and I haven't really ever told anybody this, but so I would take my bags. Well, let me back up here. I have grain spawn and I have sub, and I'm going to birth a tub, right? But I'm not going to birth the tub. Instead, I take a fruiting bag, which has your 0.5 micron, and I'll throw my sub and I'll throw my grain in there, and then I'll seal it, and it'll look like a balloon. It'll look dumb, right? Shake it all up, and then I'll put it in that tub with the filter patch upward. And you can kind of tamp it down a little bit, but you can't pack it down as much as the others. But if you're lazy, you can just let it pin just like that. And once it starts pinning inside that bag, you just cut the bag off around the perimeter, just like a liner in that tote, dub out that tote, and now you have yourself a little dub tub.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like that, like where I have it pushed down into the tub, and then once it colonizes, you cut off the face of it, and then slap the
Yeah.
other tub on it.
Yeah, it works great.
Oh,
Especially
yeah,
if
and
your bag is just the right size to fill one of the lower tub,
yeah,
then you can just cut the top off and it's perfect height and fruits
oh,
out well for you.
yeah, it's just so many things to the bags. I love it because there's also more space because you can just line a whole shelf with a whole bunch of bags instead like those big bulky
Oh
tubs.
yeah.
Also with tubs you have more eggs in a basket type thing unless you're running smaller shoe boxes, which I advise that to everyone just because you're kind of better off. That's why I don't offer those like big 10 7-pound bags and whatnot because you're already taking a risk for one with spending the money and maybe things like it's not 100%, things might not work out. You're already spending all this money, so why spend a whole bunch on this giant bag that
Right.
might not end up working out? I'd rather people try with smaller 3 or 5-pound bags and hopefully
Yeah.
get
And
it
that's
like
plenty. I mean,
yeah, get that. Yeah, 5-pound bags you're getting easily ounce off of one flush. So
yeah.
if not more, it just depends on how dialed in the genetics and the
Right.
isolation and how full a flush is and conditions, surface conditions and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, ideally I like to do in bags almost a 50-50. Like grain spawn to sub. I've seen some pretty good results.
That's
But
actually what I do
one
once
thing
a
I
month.
wanted to touch on there, you're talking about you can line shelves with them. One thing you got to be careful about is runaway heating because they're kind of decomposing. They will
Right.
create their own heat. And like I used to pack all my grain bags right up next to one another in the shelf, and then I just have like failures, and I couldn't figure out why because had the heat controlled in
Hit it
there,
with the heat
but
gun.
it get hot, like really hot. I'd stick my hand in there in the center, and you could tell that in between the bags it was too hot. So I always run, at least a little air gap between them now.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like they have their own little network in there working, putting out heat, getting their own little humidity going too. Like it's literally its own little self system in there. It's amazing. I love
Yeah.
it.
Now, Andrew, you guys have a all-in-one bag for gourmets. Now, what's the difference between the two types of bags? I know there's the ingredient differences, but there's usage differences as well, I imagine.
Yeah, we mainly make a gourmet with Master's Mix. We also don't have to do the same grain ratio. We can do a lot less grain. So it's mainly just that. Just you knock it the same way. Just hit it with a
Okay.
syringe. But yeah, we're still doing some testing on that. We did a couple of those with the gourmets, and we're not sure that we like gourmet results so far. We've touched on it, and we're still kind of adjusting, I would say. But our normal fruiting bags, we have a standard ratio and everything for at this point.
Nice. So when you say it's a master's mix, that's a blended mix, right? That's not.
Yeah, it's half soy hulls and half oak, like sawdust. And it
Okay.
comes most of the time. It comes in a pelletized form, but the soy hulls are for nitrogen, added nitrogen, and then
Okay.
of course oak is like one of the woods that mushrooms like the best. So
Yeah,
it's
and
gonna be
that's
the same.
more balanced for gourmet. You wouldn't necessarily want to use it for medicinal wood lovers of the psychedelic type, right?
Yeah.
Or who
Well,
knows?
I've never tested it myself, to be completely honest. I bet you could, but it wouldn't be optimal. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure you would get
Right.
some kind of results, but they probably wouldn't be great compared to techs that are already out there.
Well, it's like you're saying. I think typical gourmet ratios are 1 to 10, and our ratios for actives are 1 to 2. Or 1 to 2.5 for
Yeah.
decent ones. So it's interesting to see those kind of grows too. Like if you put lion's mane on anything, it doesn't look like it's growing. But I bet you that's what would happen if you put cubes on a gourmet 1 to 10 all in one. It looked sparse like that until it fruited.
Yeah, from anything I've seen online about Master's Mix, if you try to put anything active on it, it like actively condenses a lot.
Oh, yeah, because it's so much more nutritious in a lot of them. Like
Yeah.
I think you can get some, especially like oyster blends, that will be really potent because you can go higher on those oysters and just get just giant flushes, eh?
Yeah, the longer they flush, usually the bigger they get. And if you can bury them in the ground for a while, they'll get the ones coming up out of the ground after a good rain. They'll be bigger than your head. Like they're big, big.
That's cool. Yeah, I had seen those chicken of the woods that you sent me the pictures of growing out of the ground like that, and I just thought that was gorgeous, like a flower. Just
Yeah, we have samples that we're working on with that too. Hopefully, coming up with a tech to naturalize them. We don't want to grow them in bags or anything, but we're trying to do some log work and then bury the logs and
yeah.
see what where it goes from there.
I wonder if this day and age, if you couldn't find some sort of composite log, not like plastic, but you know what I mean, like some sort of recycled material that replicates wood, like cardboard, but in the shape of a log.
Yeah, we've looked into a couple of things like making artificial logs with like essentially getting a giant long bag and compressing master's mix in it and making a false log that way. We've looked into a couple of things, but I've been so busy working lately.
Right? You don't need more crap to do.
Yeah, man, it's like today I've been up for going on 15 hours.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a little bit less lively than normal. I'm trying to wake up a little bit, but man, three PC cycles in a day will really take you out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, did I tell you about my agar run the other day where I was running two of the big
All Americans.
75X runs,
Yeah.
and I had like 1,000 plates to pour as I got them all out on the table, and the blowout valve on my second
Oh, yeah.
75X shot out halfway through the cook. And so all of my bottles halfway dumped out. It shot agar up to the roof and just created like this nasty mushroom cloud of dripping agar. And so I ended up having to, of course, make more agar and run a whole nother batch. And I ended up working like 16 hours straight getting all that stuff done. And then the next day I woke up to pack it up, twisted and popped my back and dislocated a rib.
Yeah, I just had to replace my seal actually on my one pressure cooker because it just on the side just. I'm like, oh well, I knew that was definitely getting close because it's my original seal on my first pressure cooker. So I'm like, that sucker definitely lasted like I don't know how many runs, but it lasted. With these new seals, I've actually been oiling them. The first one, I did not put any oil on it whatsoever. And I definitely think I could have got more out of it if I would have did that in the beginning. Because it just gets that, like, dry rot, like, that crack going on. And honestly, I mean, I hit up that Amazon machine, and they have it pretty cheap on there. So I got it was the little rubber seal pop cap and two actual seal rings for the whole thing. So
Yeah, those rings are key to have on hand because
Yeah.
they'll go bad, if you use your cookers as often as you do.
Yep. And
Do,
I got to invest in one of those bigger,
they save time, man. They save
Yeah.
time for sure.
Yeah.
instead of running like 3 pressure cooker 23-quart Prestos.
I'll tell you this though, man. Like, it's a little bit intimidating when you get the first 75X because you have to bring it up to pressure, and then you have to ventilate it while it's at pressure. So you go from like just throwing a cab on to like actively venting it at pressure. And so you'll like, honestly, me and my partner who I work with, it turns into like one of us with a knife, just okay, go run, and just trying to get out of there as quick as possible. But now we've got to work while it's running too, so it's like, if we blow up, we blow up.
Yeah, hopefully you don't.
I just saw a video too on Instagram of someone. It was one of those giant round like pressure cookers or something. Like blew right off, and like all the water and everything went everywhere. Like covered the guy that was standing next to it. Like
Jeez.
Proper PPE, people. No.
Yes. Safe, not sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So Chris here says, what about growing in a large pipe stuffed with master's mix? Talking about PVC, ABS, anything to simulate a log. Well, I would probably say there's a lot to unpack there. Andrew, what do you say?
We've already tried with PVC a bit. The problem with it is you can't really tell super well where it's pinning from the outside. So like, you'll be growing an oyster and it just ends up with you emptying out a PVC pipe, and you can put zones for it to start pinning, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's where it's going to choose to pin. So because of how aggressive they are, we really need to know where those pin sites are to give those open access. And unfortunately, in PVC pipes so far, we haven't been able to find a reliable way to concentrate the pins. A lot of times it'll be us emptying the pipe and being like, oh, here's half the oysters we were trying to grow inside the pipe. Especially
Right.
since mycelium condenses right before it wants to fruit. So like, you'll get a really small microclimate inside the pipe around the mycelium. So that is a good thought. It definitely is, but it hasn't worked for us so far, unfortunately.
I was kind of curious about the materials they're made of, like PVC and ABS being able to be broken down by the mycelium and maybe getting into your end product to some degree.
Yeah, because elm oysters, I'm not even going to try to say the scientific name right now. They've already proven they can eat plastic, like actively digest plastic.
Yeah, nice. Well,
Crazy
I didn't know that was that one.
I've had tubs where like I've ran countless like batch after batch after batch, and then over time you could see on the side of the bin where the cakes have been that it seemed like it was just eating away a little bit around the line, and I'm like, that's freaking crazy. Like, what?
Yep, this species can like eliminate it. Imagine walking in and your tub's not there.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, it's just a matter of time, before we can break that stuff down. The mycelium is replacing plastic and eating it, so maybe we'll be able to do both at the same time at some point.
Yeah, bio remediation is going to be an interesting thing. Another random product or idea I had for a while was making bowls out of mycelium, and then like making faux in the bowls. So you could pick mushrooms directly off of your bowl, fruiting off of your bowl, and put them
There you go.
soup.
That'd be cool if you could plant it right. You probably could if if you could layer it right and seal the inside so that it colonized, and then you remove the air, and then it would hopefully pin set there.
That was one of those projects I just started pulling my hair out on, and I was
yeah. That's one of those things when you have extra time, and you already got money coming in, you got employees like this. Okay, now I get to play with this fun stuff.
Yeah, and on top of regular work, right now we're actively helping plan the Georgia Mushroom Festival, the one that Micah Cat went to last year.
Shout out to the cat.
He'll probably end up there this year again.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah,
if it was.
There's a lot of people I saw showed up there last year. Wish I'd have made it.
Yeah, Speaking of, I'm actually getting over to my first mushroom festival over. I got my tickets ordered this past week over Myco Fest in PA. So
nice.
I'm excited for that.
That'll be fun.
Meet some people, and I want to get down to the one down by you though. Here, hopefully next year. I plan on getting and going and doing all these, business trips and getting out there. And
yeah. It's got to make sure you get your tax game down, write that stuff off.
Yep, write that off at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Get my vacay/business trips in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so we remember that you were on before, but nobody else does because it didn't record well. So let's talk about how you got into mycology and what brought you to be the mighty Mr. Anderson that you are today.
Well, starting way back, it would have been wasn't even thinking about mycology or mushrooms or anything like that. And then my stepdad was a big, long time deadhead and loved everything about like that whole time, that era, and he was a big time hippie. So went to all the mushroom festivals and all the festivals and went in and had a hell of a time, telling me all the fun stories. But he ended up passing away from cirrhosis of the liver from drinking. But we were talking one of the days when he was just sitting in his chair, because that's all he really ended up doing much at the end there. And was like talking about growing mushrooms and how it seemed pretty simple, because a lot of people just have this mindset that, you just take spores and you dump it on dirt and it's just gonna grow mushrooms. Like
they grow in nature. How could it be any more difficult than seeds, right?
Right. So I ended up diving into it and like, oh yeah, I can do this, and ended up going like, I dove hard. I went full blown like giant 4x4 tent, and like not Martha tent or like a normal size like for a beginner or anything like that. No, I went full 4x4 giant shelf. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and bought all these grain bags and spores, not even like culture or anything, and just started inoculating bags, not even in a still air box or nothing. Like,
right.
Wasted so much money. Like
we all but I got this.
Yeah. But yeah, I went fail after fail after fail, and then I finally stumbled across my big bro, Considerable Morals. He on Instagram, he found me and brought me into this Discord, the mushroom community, and
pretty sure he's out by me, out in Oregon.
I'm not exactly sure.
I could be wrong, but I think that's the gentleman I was talking to that was picking in the same zones I was last year, and we were kind of like testing each other out. Like, do you want to you want to tell me where you're going? I'll kind of sort of tell you where I'm going. And I told him, like, well, I haven't found mushrooms in years. I'm probably not going to find shit. I'll tell you exactly where I'm going, and you can allude to or whatever. He did. He told me, we're right where I figured they were growing. I just didn't have the testicular fortitude to go in there and battle the logging companies and the cops keeping people out. Oregon has gotten really, really terrible about letting you into forests after fires now. And at minimum, they keep them closed for 2 years after a forest fire of any magnitude. And lately, they've been keeping them closed for up to 4 years and saying it's because it's unsafe. Yet they allow the loggers in there to log it the entire 4 years. So, yeah. Anyway, it's a bunch of bullshit. I want to go pick morels.
Yeah, right.
Fuck your safety shit.
That's what season's starting here right now. And like, if you have a good spot, you kind of have to be careful because everyone's kind of like, they'll see you like on the side of the road coming out of the woods. They'll be like, what are you doing?
Well, you can use that to your advantage, go out when you know they're watching you and go to the totally wrong places.
Oh yeah. Well,
so get your camera down, start taking pictures like, yeah.
The thing we do at this point is we pretend like our dog got out.
There you go.
So we'll be walking around, we'll be like, hey, Mitchie, hey, come here. And like, nobody really says anything if you're doing that.
Right.
Oh, they're just like, oh, they'll find their dog and go home.
That's my park patrol routine. So like in the fall when I'm going to look for wood levers that grow in the parks and people look at you funny if you're looking for mushrooms, I'll just go around, and if I see a little patch, I'll take my little doggy bag and pick up my pile of shit. Nobody wants to look you in the eye when you're doing that. And if they do, it's pretty fucking funny. Yeah, like if you see somebody watching you pick up a pile of shit.
Yeah, put your hand in the bag and everything. Like, oh, no, I'm just getting my mushroom.
Yeah. Like, what? You want some? It ain't chocolate. I promise.
Oh, man.
No, but considerable. He ended up having me go into the Discord, and then they ended up setting me right and getting me straight with the still air box and getting my tech dialed in and sterile tech and whatnot, and really learning how clean and I try not to come in here with my sweatshirt, like normal clothes and whatnot. That's why you'll see me in my little jumper and whatnot, just because I don't want anything coming in here, any dirtiness or anything that can cling to this. But once
a lot of people say, hey, this or that's not necessary. And I agree that there's a lot of things that aren't necessary, but you never know in someone's environment what they're exposed to in their house before they go in their lab.
Exactly.
Like cat hair, dog hair. I can tell you with my dog, I got to wipe every time I go in. I've seen where the static charge from a petri dish will pull the hair from me up the flow of air somehow, or on my arm and stick to the plate. There's no way it's clean,
Right, exactly. So yeah, I take all those extra, learned all that, and once I got all that dialed in, and it was just I started to take at first, once I started becoming successfully growing and whatnot, I just dove in like everyone. I'm like, oh yay, like mushrooms, like I'm gonna check my balls out. Like then I actually found more of a purpose to it, where I'm like, wow, if you only take the little tiny bit, it gives you this energy mood boost that literally, no joke, has changed my life. Like I'm always going to be an alcoholic. It's just lasts with you forever. It's always that urge, but this has completely diminished that urge. Like it has made it so that that thirst is quenched. Like literally that feeling of needing to be fucked up. No joke, sorry for the language, but
No, you good.
Right.
being high in some way, searching for something, just that addictive personality. I've always had that. And this
Yeah.
literally, just the little micro dose of this little fungi has changed that completely for me. And it has made my life so much better. Like, I'm almost starting to come to tears just talking about it because that's how much it has impacted me. It
Yeah.
saved my life, and that's literally like once I found what it can do if you take it properly. And as an alcoholic, what the fuck? What's like a micro? What's a little bit of something? Like it's always
Right.
been like, oh.
Balls to the walls, party time.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
you actually learn where this little bit, it changed everything. Like it's amazing, and I'm like, I gotta get this out there to people. I gotta somehow, if I can help alcoholics like I was,
Right.
save their lives, then that would be amazing to be able to actually like know I have reached and saved someone's life. That's my goal in life, is really just because I was a volunteer firefighter for 5 years, and I just want to save lives and help people. And since I can't volunteer anymore at the fire station, this is my new way of helping people. So, and I love it. It's
Yeah.
I'm not making a whole bunch off of this by any means, and any Myco person knows that if they're in this for the money, you're not gonna
Yeah.
get rich. You're not gonna get rich off of this. It's not about that
Not
whatsoever.
not at our level anyway. You're gonna have to have money to make money for sure.
Right, and it's even at that point, I will never change. Like if I get to that point of having a whole bunch of money and whatnot, it's always going to be about getting the awareness out there, getting it to people. If by
Right.
that point, then I'll be able to make my product even cheaper. Unfortunately, right now, because I can't buy bulk of like 1,000 boxes or whatnot, I have to charge a little more just to almost not break even. So it's a
Right.
little tough and to compete with a lot of these bigger businesses. I say compete, but there's not really competition. It's just the ones that want to come along and try my awesome jungle packs. Hey, it's an amazing product. You're gonna
Right.
pay a little bit more, but I guarantee you it's gonna be made with love. So
Right.
it's
Well, and you
nothing to
never
do with
know when you'll find that break either, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, because
Right.
all it really takes is somebody seeing your attitude and promoting you, you know?
Right. Well, and that's honestly what it's been so far. Teaming up with right off the bat, Myco Cat, like he has gotten me like out there more than anyone. And then Little Shop of Spores came
Yeah.
along and literally sent out a newsletter to 20,000 people about my jungle packs, and he told me how they're not doing their all-in-ones and want to focus more on getting back to their roots and focusing on getting their spores and everything dialed in more and whatnot. And the owner over there, shout out, awesome guy, has hooked me up with finding some like bulk vermiculite, which helps me to be able to make a little more to then put back into it. So
Yeah.
just the tips like that to help me find stuff cheaper in the community has been amazing. And word of mouth,
Good.
everyone here is just it's I've been in a firefighter community, I've been in like sports communities, I've been in like a whole bunch of different but there's nothing like the mushroom community. Literally, anyone and everyone will be like, you need something, like you see it left and right, someone's down or they're going through some traumatic thing, and everyone's like there immediately helping you, like whether it's them trying to help you financially or trying to
Oh yeah.
be there for you, and it's so amazing. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I think the same thing that makes a community great makes it vulnerable too, you know. That's why the scammers are able to come in and take advantage, and I
yeah,
do think that that's why we see you know, some pushback from folks sometimes, you know, because they're so questionable, because we're unfortunately a trusting community, you know. Fortunately
too
also.
trusting sometimes. Yeah, I honestly, I think we've all probably been scammed. I've been scammed for, I think it was like $300 or $400. Yeah,
Right.
it definitely happens, and it's a learning process. And unfortunately, a lot of us do have to go through it. But if we can reach out and warn each other when we can, that's what we do. You know.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, it's just always a matter of sifting through the facts versus the opinions on
yeah,
a lot of that stuff. You know, because
exactly.
somebody's scammer might be somebody else's idea of a trusted vendor. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the problem too, is that very thing is we're so keen to jumping to help someone, so you might share someone's profile or be like, hey, check this person out or whatever, come to find out that they were a scammer. I've had that happen
Hmm.
because I was like, oh, I just ordered this substrate and whatnot from this guy, and he's like talking it all up, saying it was the next best, like cocoa mix and whatnot. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll try it out. Maybe I can add it to my mix and make it even better. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so I shared it on my Instagram. I'm like, hey, coming soon, collab with Jungle Packs, and yeah, he was a
Felt like you
scammer.
lent them legitimacy, I bet.
Yeah, scammed me. Luckily, he only got me for like $60. That guy did, and then yeah, I got a message from, unfortunately, one other guy that was like, "Hey, have you heard back from that guy?" Like, I'm like, "Ah, no." Now that you say it, and I'm like, and he's like, "Yeah, I saw that you shared it." I'm like, "No." I'm like, damn. I'm like, and I talked to them like those scammers are too, like, they're getting too good.
Oh
They're
yeah.
like too.
Well, you know, there's all kinds of
I don't know.
theories, but I definitely know there's lots of them that have been around for
Yeah.
forever on Facebook. And like when I actually was actively trying to help people find them, like I had a guy that would track their profile information and try and figure out where they were. Uh, he
Awesome.
would say that they're out of country and they're all the same people. That basically you will go and find a new account as soon as it gets shut down, and they go and find
Keep going.
another one, because they're not like us here. I think in those places where we're limited to our IP address, their one location can have 40 or 50 with all the different phones and the ways that they can access, even without VPNs. You know,
Right.
but now I think they're getting into using VPNs and masking their numbers.
Yeah, I
Like I
had.
get hit by a scammer almost every day that it will come up as two phone calls at the same time. One
Right.
looks like a local number and the real one's a 1888 number.
I had no idea what a VPN was, and then I looked on my phone, and then it was like, it said I was over in Michigan or something like that. I'm like, what? I'm not even anywhere near Michigan. Like, why is it saying I'm way over there? I'm like, oh well, that's pretty cool though. Like, can't track me.
Right?
I'm pinging way over there.
Yeah, I don't know enough about them either. And as I've learned recently talking about them with people that do, that there are better ones to use than others.
Yeah.
Eh,
I guess
Some work,
do
some don't.
iPhones automatically do that, or is that just maybe something? Because I don't know why. I don't even remember like trying to set up any VPN or anything, but it just
Hmm.
happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe you just put your location services in wrong. Yeah. No, I haven't
That's
had much
weird.
luck with those things lately. Not with all the updates that they put on them and the changes that they put in there. You go back to find your settings, you are like 5 pages removed, and
Yeah,
now something else happens.
I've been trying to keep up with everything, and then you have a new software update, and then a new one, and I'm like, okay, now they're trying to slip stuff in there, and I'm like, I'm trying to keep track of everything here.
Right. I just hate it that they reset all your options,
Yeah,
and they're like, what was the one on Facebook recently where they made it so you had to go in and turn off some extra fact checking thing
yeah.
to where it would basically just like automatically remove things from your feed that fit a certain criteria unless you went in there and turned it off.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. It's constant. I know Discord had something pop up too, and there's like now even on Instagram and all those, it's if what is it? Something pops up and if you violate some of their standards or whatever, and if it's bad enough, now they have to report it to the actual, like, I don't know who they report it to, but I heard something. I don't know how true
Hmm.
that is, but there was talk about it. You know how there's always rumors going around about that type of
Right.
stuff, though. So it's hard to
Maybe it's finally time for the real internet, please.
right, but now they might actually be reporting those violations and whatnot. But who knows if it's actually true? Or I'd like to, if someone could do some digging, let me know.
Right.
I can actually speak on that.
Yeah.
I very, very seriously doubt they would do that because
Right, because then everyone wouldn't use it.
exactly,
Yeah.
you're just leaving it'd be like signing up for it is just saying I want to leave myself vulnerable. And if that were to happen, what's actually going to happen is there's going to be the same thing that happened with Skype and Zoom. Another product is going to pop up and they're going to be like, but we will keep our shit hidden. And
Right.
then it's immediately just going to switch over to that service.
Yeah, that's so true. Very true. Yeah, because I know if that happened, I'd be like, see ya!
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they said that about Facebook for a while too, but there's still not a actual proven recorded instance of Facebook providing evidence, like
Right.
in a court case that didn't involve them doing something,
Right.
Well,
Right.
I know they tried doing that with Apple, right? They tried to get them to release phone records or something, and Apple apparently is one of them that is harder to, or they just won't, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, there's encryption keys, and if they had those, they could take any message that they had, and they wouldn't even need your phone. So, like, they could go into the actual programming, put this key in. That lets all of your messages decode, and instead of being jumbled, they can actually read them from the system. And if you give away your encryption keys, that's the end. Like, you're done.
Yeah.
That's scary. Like I know like there's the whole interweb and the workings and whatnot, but I don't know all that like that much. But it's pretty scary how easily someone can get a hold of all of your information if you really like.
And people can also take your Discord token as well. So like everything that gives you power, they can just this is mine now.
Steal it.
Really? Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez,
Yeah, I was just watching that new Mission Impossible. Have you seen anything on the premise of what that is?
Nah.
Basically, they create a artificial intelligence to
No. Nope.
to mask to work as a cloaking device for a submarine, and it works, but they made it too well, and it takes over, and because it's connected to the nuclear network, it's connected to everything important, and it just like grows exponentially, and it literally is ordering secret agents to do things, hiring in contractors to kill other people, and like every single aspect of the world is manipulated down to the millisecond, to where like it even predicts your actions based off of your interactions with it. And like it just blows your mind to like this shit could really be happening, and it's so far outside of our of us
it
being
is
able to
happening.
conceptualize.
It already is happening, because with the whole new AI that they're working on and whatnot, they let one go, and they said they did this experiment or whatever. My brother was telling me about it. I didn't watch it exactly. I want to look it up, but they like let the AI go and wanted to see what it could do, and it like ended up going online and hiring. It had loopholes of getting around, like, are you a robot? It would hire people that would go online for you. And
Oh
it
yeah.
would fill out, like, AI was figuring this stuff out, finding ways around the robot loopholes, hiring people to do jobs for it so they could make, like, it wanted to see how much money it could make in 24 hours or something like that. And it got scary. They had to unplug it because once it started hiring people to get around the loopholes like that, they're like, this is getting bad.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, what's next? It hires a programmer to rewrite its programming.
And then duplicate and duplicate and duplicate and iRobot.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it. Everyone's like, zombie apocalypse. I don't know. It's getting closer and closer to iRobot apocalypse happening.
Oh, I thought we were in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. Is that not where we're at? I mean,
right.
No, that was when people were doing the bath salts in Florida.
Yeah, that's true. With the eating of the faces.
That was the start of it. Now, now we're in the thick of it. I think it's just I'm gonna open up my social media every minute of every day. Zombies, like the phones. I do it too. I catch myself, dude. Like I'll be sitting here, and now Amazon has commercials in their stupid show, their Prime. So now I get commercials in my feed. So I'll go and I'll reach and grab for the phone, and I'll like feel myself getting intoxicated off of it, like literally getting lightheaded and feeling stupider, and I think they're dumbing us down with the damn reels,
Yeah, well, that and Jesus, the education system right now, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I said that the other day, and somebody said, "No, man. I don't think other places are much, much worse." Like, I'm sure there are other places, but
what civilized place has?
Well, maybe Russia.
That's a good basis for comparison,
right? How about Ukraine currently? Not the Ukraine, of yesteryear, but currently the wartime Ukraine, maybe.
So Russia, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't concur with that assessment. I like you. I think our education system in the U.S. is inherently flawed. Just the whole multiple choice thing. Like, if you see other countries that don't do that, I mean, if you're trying to think outside of the box, why are all your answers inside the checkbox?
Well, and then you have China where they take naps and whatnot throughout the day. I'm like, come on, what are we doing? We need more naps.
Yeah.
Always need more naps.
Right? As I get older, I'm like, dang, I need a nap now. Get my daily naps in,
I don't
Sleeping.
know, I haven't figured that out. Like I used to like getting a nap at the, like 2 o'clock in the day, but if I sleep a lick over an hour, I'm just cranky.
Oh yeah, no, it's like 15-minute power nap. If I get anything over 15 minutes, I get cranky and I don't want to wake up.
Yeah. No, I don't like to admit to taking naps. I'm old enough as it is. It makes me seem
There's
older.
nothing wrong with naps. It's good.
Some days I feel
Yeah.
like I'm older than you, Matt.
Are you? I'm 41, almost 42.
It's like a 10-year difference ish.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel much older. I think when I was 15, I was about 30, and
Yeah.
now that I'm 42, I'm about 15.
I would never have guessed. I thought you were only 32.
Yeah, no, it's just the nice supple skin I have on top of my head.
I feel you there. Don't worry.
What's his name? Was it Buffalo Bill? Buffalo Bill would use it.
It
puts the lotion on
It
its head.
puts the lotion
I just like it because when people call me dickhead, I can just be like, yeah, so what?
right.
What are you? Like, pube head?
No, my grandpa always said it's the solar panel for the sex machine. I'm like,
There you go.
Grandpa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that.
Well, see, if you got a little bit of stubble on there, it's actually an aphrodisiac.
It's a
And if you don't
Velcro.
believe me, all the ladies know.
Oh man.
Well, I think we're at our hour, and I don't know about you, but I'm about ready to go imbibe and have a drink or
About that
a
time.
toke. So,
Yeah.
hope you fine folks enjoyed the show. We sure had fun. I had fun having you on, Jesse.
Oh yeah, it was great being here. Always is, and I can't wait to be on in the future.
Heck yeah. Anything?
Much
Any
love.
last words of Mandrew?
Chaga.
I noticed nobody noted on my little thing below my name, so I'll just.
I'm on my phone this time. Hold on.
Yeah, I saw your
That's-
asshat extraordinaire. Jesse's got the only actual professional looking one, owner of
I
Mr.
should have did
Anderson's
something
Jungle
different. Next
Pack.
time I'll have to. Now I gotta.
Yeah, like Han Solo, always stroking my own Wookiee. He's the root of all that's evil, but you can call me Cookie. And with that, we will call it a night.